Discussing CRAO as it is one of the important ocular emergency and it is one of the cause of the sudden vision loss also. So in exam, in most of the table, the question starts with what are the causes of the gradual painless diminution of vision, or what are the causes of the sudden painless diminution of vision, or what are the causes of sudden painful loss of vision. So these 3 or 4 you have to be very much, it has to be in your tip of the tongue, the few five, at least five causes of the these causes in the painful red eye, painless red eye. So these are the frequently asked questions, and each fiber table starts with this type of the questions only. So this is one of the cause for the sudden diminution of the vision or sudden loss of the vision, CRAO. So CRAO is one of the characteristic features which we see in the eye is the cherry red spot, which is seen at the macular area. So this is a picture of the cherry red spot. So I think this is the anatomy. So ophthalmic artery, it is a first branch of internal carotid artery and it enters the orbit underneath the optic nerve through the optic canal. So ophthalmic artery, which is the first branch of the internal carotid artery, so enters beneath the optic nerve. So the central retinal artery is the first intraorbital branch of the ophthalmic artery, which enters the optic nerve 8 to 15 millimeter behind the globe to supply the retina. So all of you know that the central retinal artery, it supplies which part of the retina, anterior or posterior? This is the central retinal artery which supplies the anterior part of the retina. The posterior part is supplied by the choroidal or choriocapillaries. The short posterior ciliary artery branches distal from the ophthalmic artery and supplies the choroid. So anatomical variants include the cilioretinal branches from the short posterior ciliary artery, which gives additional supply to the macula from the choroidal circulation. So one of the part of the macula which is present not only in the 100%, that is 20%, which is supplied by the cilioretinal artery to the macula, which is through the choroidal circulation. So the cilioretinal artery is approximately 14% of the population. So some books it is 14%, some books it is 20%. So it has got its own importance. So what is CRAO? The abrupt diminution of the blood flow through the central retinal artery, severe enough to cause the ischemia of the inner retina, so which leads to the loss of vision. The central retinal artery obstructions occurs when a blockage is within the optic nerve substances itself, and therefore the site of obstruction is generally not visible on ophthalmoscopy. So it is the obstruction is within the optic nerve. So we do not know when we see with the most of the vessels hole in the body is seen only in the eye, but this site of obstruction is not seen. It is within the optic nerve. The branch retinal artery obstruction occurs when a site of blockage is distal to the lamina cribrosa of the optic nerve. So what can be the blockage? It can be the thrombotic in 80% of the cases and embolic in 20% of the cases. So what can be the features? It can be the monocular, or it can be the sudden, or it can be severe, or it can be painless loss of vision. So any type. And occurs acutely, possibly over the spans of few seconds. So within a second, very sudden loss of vision will be there. And in some cases, the premonitory episodes of the amaurosis fugax may be reported. Amaurosis fugax represent the transient acute retinal ischemia and typically suggest an embolic source of occlusion. So when there is a certain transient loss of vision, which is called the amaurosis fugax, so it is present in some patient, or some patient will notice this. So this is due to the retinal ischemia, which is due to the emboli. So what are the signs? The visual acuity at the time of initial presentation is counting finger or to the light of perception, PL and PR. So what is PL and PR? It is very important and it is asked to you in every table. So PL is the perceptions of the light and PR is the projections of rays. So PL, which you will throw a light in the eye and you will see whether the patient is seeing something that light or not, some brightness or not. And the PR is you will throw the light from all the four quadrant and you will ask that the patient is seeing the light is coming from the any quadrant that is superior, inferior, medial or temporal. So that is the PL. So PL-PR accuracy is the last steps of the when you will see the visual acuity when the patient cannot count the finger. So in case of the CRAO, the visual will be that much of diminished. The central visual acuity may be near normal in patients who have the transient CRAO or if the serioretinal artery providing sufficient vascular supply to the fovea. So we have a serioretinal artery in 14 to 20% of the cases. So those patients who have the serioretinal artery, in spite of the CRAO, they can have the good visual acuity because so it is due to the serioretinal artery. Otherwise, the visual acuity, there will be the marked loss of vision. The absence of the light perception is rare. So therefore, in such cases, concomitant choroidal circulation deficiency due to the ophthalmic artery occlusion or optic nerve involvement should be considered. Visual acuity tends only to improve within the first week of onset with minimum chance of appreciable improvement subsequently. So it is the visual acuity, there is only chance of improvement within the first week of treatment. The visual recovery after the treatment has been shown to be correlated with the presenting visual acuity and the duration of the visual impairment. So how far you come, how long, after what duration you have come to the treatment in the hospital, the visual acuity of the recovery depends upon that period of the time. It is very important. So the later you come, in case of the CRAO, there is a more chance of the marked loss of vision. So second is the one is the visual acuity, diminution of vision. Second is the RAPD, that is a relative apparent pupillary defect. So how you will check this relative apparent pupillary defect? We will teach you in your practical class. So you will throw the light subsequently in both eyes, putting the light for 2 seconds in each eye and moving the torchlight to the another eye. And instead of constriction of the pupil, you will see the light dilatation of the pupil. So that is a relative apparent pupillary defect, because there will be the problem in the constrictor pupillae in the eye. So the dilator pupillae will keep functioning, so that when you focus the light in the eye, the problematic eye, the pupil will keep dilating. So that is called the relative apparent pupillary defect. So the apparent pathway is defective. Intraocular pressure is often normal at presentation but may become elevated in the setting of the rubeosis iridis. So subsequently, as the disease progresses, there will be the new vessels formations in the iris. So the new vessels in the iris is called the rubeosis iridis. So gradually when there is a new vessels formation, it leads to the secondary hypertensions, ocular hypertensions along with the secondary glaucoma. So that is a new vascularization glaucoma. So the IOP will be increased. And the fondest changes is cherry red spot is seen in 90% of the cases, and posterior pole retinal opacity or whitening is seen in 58% of the cases. So the retina, you will not see the normal pink texture, you will see the whitish retina or like opacity. Box scaring of retinal arteries and veins, which is seen in 90 to 20% respectively. So retinal and optic disc edema, you will see in 22% of the cases, and optic disc pallor, and the retinal finding were predominantly located in the posterior pole with normal appearing periphery. So all the things now I think you are familiar where is the posterior pole. So the retinal whitening is due to the opacifications of the retinal nerve fiber and ganglion cell layer as a result of sedations of exoplasmic transport caused by the acute ischemic insult. So the retina is white or opacified because of the ischemic retina. So these layers are hampered, resulting in the flow. So the opacification is visible ophthalmoscopically, where the ganglion cell layer is more than one cell thickness, that is in the macula, except in the foveal region where the cherry red spot is seen. So along at the center of the fovea, you will see the cherry red spot, and around it you will see the opacifications in the posterior pole. So cherry red spot, so what is this cherry red spot? It is actually the normal appearing retina, and it is observed in high contrast against the surrounding opacified retina, because the thin retina in this location is nourished by the underlying choroidal circulation. Because what happens over here, what is the blood supply when you come to the exactly at the center of the fovea, and when you remember the layers of the retina at the center, there at the center of the macula, you will not, at the foveolar area, you will not see all the 10 layers. There are only 6 layers, so it is a thinner area. And the surrounding area of the macula, due to the ischemia, there is the opacification, and this cherry red spot is just the normal. It is a normal appearing retina, which where you can see, due to the contrast background of the whitish surrounding retina, the choroidal circulation is there. That reflections you will see as the cherry red spot. So similarly, the retinal periphery in the CRAO causes appears normal, because the retina is also thinner and single layer of the ganglion cell, such that the nutrition of the inner retinal layer can be maintained by the choroidal circulation alone. So it is very important when you go through it to remember what is a supply, what is a blood supply of the retina. So typically retinal opacification resolve over the period of 4 to 6 weeks. Now coming back to this picture, now you can observe over here, this is the optic disc. So optic disc, there is a disc edema, but you cannot see such a frank edema, because though you, in case of the frank optic disc edema, you will see this this demarcations of the optics disc. There will be the margin will not be so much demarcated. Over here somehow you can landmark this as a margin, and the cop-disc ratio, it will be disturbed. Over here also you cannot see the coping, it is completely edematous, so the cop-disc ratio is altered. Then coming to the posterior pole, this area is called the posterior pole, and over here you can see this surrounding area is opacified, but the center area, due to this surrounding opacified area, this is a thinner area, so due to the choroidal circulation, you can see this cherry red spot over here. So these are the differential diagnosis of the cherry red spot, which is very, very important. And I think 2 or 3, 4 points, if you are able to learn by heart and say in exam, that is enough. So I have put in different headings, so that if each heading one cause, if you will remember in your exam, it will be very easy for you. So metabolic storage diseases, which is Tay-Sachs disease or Niemann-Pick disease, or different types of mucopolysaccharidosis disease. So these are put over here. And congenital developmental disease like Leber's congenital amaurosis, hereditary disease, vascular disease, drugs, quinine toxicity or dapsone, which is a very frequently used drugs, poisoning like carbon monoxide poisoning or methanol poisoning, and which is very important is a blunt ocular trauma, many of the patients can comes with these features also, where there will be the diminution of vision. So at least please remember a few points: ocular blunt trauma, poisoning, drugs, and fused storage disease, because this is also a frequently asked question to you. And put at least a star so that you can read in your practical exam. So a patent cilio-retinal artery supplying some or all of the papulomacular bundle is seen approximately in 1/3 of the cases. So what is a papulomacular bundle? This is a papulomacular bundle because the arcuate pattern is over here, the superior temporal and inferior temporal arteries, superior nasal and superior inferior nasal artery. So this central part, this is a papulomacular bundle. So this part is supplied by the cilio-retinal artery. So you can discriminate the color. This is a normal texture of the retina, and this is a edematous retina. So edematous retina, this is the opacified or ischemic retina over here, and this is the papulomacular bundle, which is a patent retina. So box carrying or segmentations of blood column of both the arteries and veins occurs secondary to separations of blood serum from erythrocytes, is the Schett or Rolex formation. So you can see like these types of vessels when you do the ophthalmoscopy, like this Rolex like formations over here. So which is called the box carrying. Retinal emboli are visible in 20 to 40% of the eye. So this is the emboli in CRAO, and the most common variant is a yellow refractile cholesterol embolus, which is called the Holland-Hort plague. So this can now, in case of 4th year MBBS, you don't have a MCQ questions, but in further examinations, it is one of the important MCQ questions also. Holland-Hort plague. So you can see the emboli over here, like this type of emboli you can see, which is present in 20 to 40% of the cases. So there are other type of the emboli also. So retinal emboli, which consists of cholesterol in 74% of the cases, and calcified material in 15.5, and platelets and fibrin in 15.5% of the cases. So cholesterol, calcified, and fibrin, platelets. I think this in physiology also you have already learned. So the cholesterol emboli, which is called the Holland-Hort plague, appears at the intermittent sour of minute, bright, refractile, golden to yellow, orange crystal, often located in the arterial bifurcations. So they rarely cause significant obstructions in the retinal arterioles and are frequently asymptomatic. So these are usually seen in the bifurcated area, like this bifurcated area, these are seen, or like this type of area, or like this. After the first crossing, you will see. And calcified emboli may originate from the erythematous plague in ascending aorta or carotid arteries, as well as from the calcified heart valves. So they are usually single, white, non-scintillating, and often on or close to the optic disc, and when located on the disc itself, they can be easily overlooked, or they tend to merge with the disc. So they may cause permanent occlusion of the central retinal artery or one or its main branches. So you can see the prognosis gradually. Cholesterol is relatively reluctant type, and calcified, it is more dangerous type. Fibrin, platelets, emboli are dull gray elongated particles which are usually multiple and occasionally fill the entire lumen. So they may cause the retinal transient ischemic attack with resultant amaurosis fugax and occasionally complete obstructions. So these are the three types of the emboli which are present. So the different type of the emboli which you can see, like this type of the features of the cholesterol type, this is a calcified type, and the fibrin type of emboli. So ophthalmologist plays an important role in the management of these patients by referring them to the prophylactic medical or surgical treatment to forestall the development of permanent neurological sequelae, as patients with retinal embolizations have an increased risk of developing a permanent stroke over the next few months, and a risk is subsequently increased if the amaurosis fugax is accompanied by signs of transient cerebral ischemia or an embolus is visible in the retina. So it is very, very important. Sometimes if you see the embolus in the retina, then you have to refer, where to refer, you should know that. So it should be noted that the leading cause of death in patients with retinal arterial obstruction is cardiovascular disease. So it is an ocular emergency as well as it is a medical emergency also. So the optic nerve is acutely edematous in nearly all cases of arthritis, CRAO, and as a result of associated anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, there is a typically observed in this patient. So that is typically observed in this type of patient. So in the acute phase of the non-arthritic CRAO, the disc may be normal, hyperemic, edematous, and rarely pale. So month after the acute CRAO, cilioretinal collaterals may develop as a result of the compensatory enlargement of the capillary anastomosis. So collaterals are the capillary anastomosis which you develop gradually and between the retinal capillaries on the surface of the disc, and sometimes you may be confused these collaterals as the new vessels. So it is quite different when you see very closely, and ciliary capillaries is deep part of the optic nerve head. So the optic nerve is in most of the cases it is edematous, and in an acute case there will not be the pallor of the disc. There you will see all the features of the disc edema. Hyperemic, vessels are margin is deleted, optics ratio is altered, color is altered, but gradually you will see the collaterals will develop and a disc you will see as a pallor. The most frequent finding in the chronic stage of the eyes of the CRAO are optic atrophy, so complete pale like this type you will see the optic disc, and the peripheral retina also the unhealthy color, and retinal artery attenuations will be there, means thinning of all the retinal arteries will be there, and cilioretinal collaterals will develop. So over here there there is not the pictures of the collaterals. You will see like a fine thread like vessels develops, and macular RPE changes, so retinal pigment epithelium will change, so it will look like a patches over the retina, and the cotton wool spot will develop which you will see the like a cotton wool in the retina. So these are the things you will see in case of the old CRAO or chronic stage of the CRAO. The evaluations of the embolic source often includes the carotid Doppler imaging and echocardiography, since the most common source of retinal emboli are from the carotid artery or the heart, and the chronic anticoagulations may be indicated to prevent some serious adverse event. And since the cardiac morbidity and mortality are significant in patients with retinal artery occlusion, a baseline echocardiogram is recommended. So all cases of the patient with certain age, if they undergo the transient loss of vision and they come to us with a blurring of the sudden loss of the vision, then the echocardiography is mandatory. And the hypercoagulability evaluation should be considered for the patient less than 50 years of age with suggestive history, that is the prior thrombosis, miscarriage, family history, and unknown embolic source. So other tests are also recommended. because there are other causes also, like so you have to do the for the cancer evaluation, infections, disseminated intravascular coagulation, so the investigation regarding this are recommended. So how you will treat this patient? All the doctors who are posted in the ER should know this. It is very, very, very important. So there is a very short time left for the patient to prevent the visual acuity, which is being lost within the no period of the time. So the patient should be adoptions for the supine postures might improve the ocular perfusion. So patients should be in supine positions. Ocular massage is very, very important. So whatever thing you have, so you do the ocular massage with certain interval of time. So sublingual isosorbide nitrate and intravenous acetazolamide to reduce the intraocular pressures, intravenous mannitol or oral glycerin, and anterior chamber paracentesis, and intravenous methylprednisolone streptokinase. This is a very important treatment. So at least we can put the patient in supine positions. We can do the ocular massage. We can give the sublingual isosorbide, and we can push the intravenous acetazolamide. And anterior chamber paracentesis cannot be done in the first steps, but it can be done in the second step. And intravenous methylprednisolone we can push. So this is a emergency treatment. Harris has shown that irreversible cell injury occurs after 90 to 100 minutes of total CRAO in the primate model. So controversy existing regarding the optimal window of treatment in the human, but the conservative approach involves treatment up to 24 hours. So this is our immediate management. So how we will do the ocular massage? It is performed either with the Goldman contact lenses or digital massage to apply the ocular pressure with the in and out movement to dislodge or possibly obstructing embolus, and repeated massage with 10 to 15 minutes of pressures followed by sudden release is recommended. And this maneuver can produce a retinal arterial vasodilatations, thereby improving the retinal blood flow. And the mixture of the 95% oxygen and 5% carbon dioxide is recommended, carbozane, to provide the inducer vasodilatations. Hyperbaric oxygen provide the oxygen at the level of the atmospheric pressures, and the purpose of the hyperbaric oxygen is to preserve the retina in an oxygenated state until recanalizations and reperfusions occurs, typically at 72 hours. So rebathing into the paper bag is ordered to elevate the blood carbon dioxide and respiratory acidosis, so as this may promote the vasodilation. So this is the thing which we can advise and we can do in the emergency, that is ballooning of the plastic bag. And anterior chamber paracentesis is done along with the other anti-glaucoma medications, and vasodilating medications are also given to increase the retinal blood flow in the retinal artery occlusions, so like nitroglycerin, isosorbide dinitrates. And we go for the Nd:YAG laser. So arteriotomy in patient with CRAO has been reported to result in the extrusions of the embolus, reopening of the central retinal artery, and returns of the vision. So the fundus contact lens is used with the laser in the single bond mode. So laser therapy is given. Corticosteroids and anticoagulants are given, and EAGLE study, which is a European assessment group for lysis in the eye, has published the result of the first prospective randomized clinical trials evaluating the intraarterial TPA compared with the conservative treatment. So there is a EAGLE study in the name of the studies, and if the iris neovascularizations has developed and neovascularizations of the disc is developed, these are the complications following or sequelae following the disease condition. Then we go for the other modalities of the treatment, like the full scattered PRP is effective in eradicating the new iris vessels in about 2/3 of the cases, and new vascularization of the disc occurs in 2 to 3% of the patients. So we go for the pan-retinal photocoagulations with intravitreal injections of the anti vascular endothelial growth factor agent is the first line of therapy for the iris, trabecular mesewalk, or optic disc neovascularization. So these are the other modalities of the treatment, and we go for the treatment of the other carotid diseases like in patients with the localized. So we go for the treatment with different groups of drugs like aspirin, and follow-up of the patient is very important to see the ophthalmologist within the 3 to 4 weeks and again a month later in order to detect any new vessels formation. So it is very, very important. And the prognosis of this emboli, whether there is 56% of the mortality rate over the 9 years compared to that 27 of the age match populations within the central retinal artery emboli is present. So life expectancy of the patient with CRAO is 5.5 years compared to 15.4 years to the age match populations without the CRAO. So these are the different studies done to see the prognosis of the disease. So this is one of the important ocular emergencies, and you should know about this emergency management, which I have put in this few lines. So all of you should know, and it will be asked you wherever you go. This is very, very important. And the causes of the painless, gradual loss of vision, sudden painless loss of vision, gradual painful loss of vision, and sudden painful loss of vision. So along with this is also very, very important. So, okay, I have ended this too. And in the next class, I think I would like to teach CRBO, central retinal vein occlusion, which is also important to you. And then I go for the retinoblastoma. Then what else? And ROP, retinopathy of prematurity. So with 3 topics, I think I will end the retina in the next week. Then I will start the other chapter. So any questions, you have any questions, then please put. Otherwise, I would like to end this class. This is also one of the important practical questions for you for your exam. No. Fibrosis will not lead to retinal detachment. That is the fibrosis which occurs in the retinal layer. That is a different fibrosis. So, which leads to the and this is a completely different. These are the fibrin. These are the emboli. This is completely different from the retinal detachment and the CRAO. Later on, during the sequelae of the disease, when you will have the new vascularizations and all, then the other sequelae changes can occur, leading to the fibrosis of the retinal layer, and it can lead to the fibroretinal tractions and all, and which can lead to retinal detachment.